So the idea of Joseph Smith's martyrdom, the proposed idea for Joseph Smith's martyrdom by most Mormons is that Joseph Smith had a truth that Protestants wouldn't accept. Protestants and other Christians, that they didn't like what he said and that they killed him for it. That they believed that Joseph Smith had crossed the line and that because of their hatred for him, that they killed him. Much like the Jews wanted Jesus dead, that Joseph Smith died in a similar fashion. As Joseph Smith said, as if he was going like a lamb to the slaughter. Those are Joseph Smith's words. Now, here is the other idea here. And to give a little background, Joseph Smith had committed crimes against the country, and he ended up in Carthage jail. Those crimes included, notably, the Nauvoo Expositor being burnt down, infringing upon the free speech of the Nauvoo Expositor, who had written about Joseph Smith's polygamist ways before Joseph Smith had, openly stated his beliefs on polygamy or his responsibility in polygamy. Joseph Smith didn't want this information to be known, and before the publication was printed, Joseph Smith, as mayor of Nauvoo, ordered the marshal of Nauvoo to take, as he quoted, the brethren down to the Nauvoo Expositor and have the pie burnt and smashed, and he destroyed the building. Joseph Smith, it's debatable whether he infringed on their free speech, because there was free speech laws, but they weren't federal, they were local, and there was other reasons why Joseph Smith committed an illegal act when doing this, beyond the free speech issue. But Joseph Smith gave no reparations for his destruction of this press, which was required by Illinois law. Joseph Smith did not have any warrant issued or any citations issued. No warning whatsoever. He simply smashed their business with no reparations. These three things beyond the free speech issue were illegal. But even bigger than that, Joseph Smith had made threats against the United States government, saying that if the government didn't repent of their crimes and apologize to the Mormon Church for what happened to the brethren in Missouri when they were ran out of Missouri, that the government would be crushed and would fall into pieces. And this was, so Joseph Smith gave many Missouri prophecies, but this was one that was threatening to the government. After this threat, Joseph Smith started amassing an army, the Nauvoo Legion, a local militia, in which he was the general of, and as well as the mayor of Nauvoo. But he was the general of this legion, and he was making threats, regularly, as well as against Governor Boggs, which, came before this revelation of the government being destroyed. But Governor Boggs had an assassination attempt on his life, which, he retaliated against the Mormons with an extermination order, because the assassination attempt failed, and he feared for his life and for the peace of his state, Missouri. So he ran the Mormons out of Missouri. Anyway, whether it was right or wrong, there was many threats, many attempts on people's lives, and many illegal activities surrounding the Mormons. And then, of course, there was the banking issue where Joseph Smith started his own bank. Temporarily happened, but it was in fraud that it happened. So he defrauded the United States Treasury, as well as numerous other accounts. I mean, there was plenty to take your pick from. All of these are historical. All of these are documented. You can go to realmormonhistory.com and find a lot of these references, as well as IRR.org, Institute for Religious Research, to find some of these references as well. And beyond that, that's the history of why he was in Carthage jail. Joseph Smith, when he had the warrant issued for his arrest, ran away with his brother and a couple of the so-called brethren, and didn't want to face up to the charges. For several weeks, the people of the Mormon Church, especially in Nauvoo, were getting threatened to be evicted or be ran off from their homes, and begged Joseph Smith to come back. And this went on back and forth between Joseph Smith and his wife, and Joseph Smith and many of his followers for weeks and weeks. Finally, Joseph Smith, realizing he couldn't run for long before they'd finally catch up with him anyway, finally turned himself in and says, "I go like the lamb to the slaughter." Basically identifying himself with Jesus, saying that he's the lamb, he's going to the slaughter, he's doing this willingly. He wasn't very willing about it. He actually ran away from it to begin with. So he wasn't, going without any defiance. He actually defied it. He actually spoke out against it. Unlike the lamb, unlike Jesus, who went to the slaughter, Joseph Smith resisted fiercely and tried to run away from his destiny, his fate. So he ends up in Carthage jail. Well, more history of this is that Joseph Smith, 4 years earlier, had joined a Masonic lodge and gave blood oaths similar to the Mormon temple blood oaths, that he would not reveal the secrets of the Masonic lodge. Pre-1991, I believe, Mormon Church had very sacred blood oaths saying that if they were to reveal the secrets of the temple, that they would agree to have their throats slit from ear to ear, that they would have their chest open and their heart ripped out, and that they would have their stomachs open and their organs disemboweled, which was part of their temple ceremony for almost 150 years. And it was recently changed, and it's not completely done away with, but the wording has been changed to be less committive. So anyway, he committed himself to these oaths. He agreed to be killed if he ever revealed these secrets. And shortly after he revealed them, after he incorporated them into his newly founded religion with his temple ceremonies, thus breaking the oaths to the Masonic lodge, he finds himself being killed at Carthage jail by a mob of masked men, which nobody could identify. They had their faces painted black. They were dressed in black. Nobody knew who these men were. And so, Mormons blame it on Christian folks that disagreed with Joseph Smith's message. But the more obvious, more plausible way of thinking about this is that Joseph Smith made oaths, blood oaths, that he would die. He would willingly die if he ever revealed the secrets of the Masonic lodge. And then he revealed those secrets, and then he was killed. So, my idea of the martyrdom is not really that he was martyred for his cause, but that he was killed for breaking an oath. Joseph Smith broke the law many times, probably would have been killed for treason had he not been shot by the mob, but he also broke the oaths to the Masonic lodge. I don't think Christian ministers or followers of Christian churches, whether they were Protestant, whether they were Baptist, whether they were whatever, and yes, there is a difference between Protestants and Baptists. Protestants would be Lutherans and such, people that broke away from the Catholic Church. Baptists never broke away from anything. They have a lineage going all the way back to the first church, so they didn't protest anything. They have always been. Anyway, that's a different story, but the idea that Christians killed Joseph Smith would be not only against their religion, but Joseph Smith was just a pest, not an actual threat to most. I mean, he threatened and he had started amassing an army and stuff, but most people just thought he was kind of an annoyance. I don't think they had a real reason to kill him. But the Masonics had their secrets revealed, had their livelihoods threatened by Joseph Smith. And Joseph Smith had agreed that he would die had he ever revealed those secrets. And I think Joseph Smith, just lived up to his contract with the Masons. I don't think it was anything more or anything less. I think the Masons killed him, and it was Joseph Smith who agreed to let them do it, or, agreed to die anyway. I think he got off easy. I really think that it could have been worse, according to those oaths, which are very descriptive and very brutal. Anyway, that's my thought on it.